Welcome to Let's Write This Movie, where we write a screenplay
while sharing the process with the internet.
I am your screenwriter, René Garcia.
And I'm your collaborator, Brian Glass.
Now, let's write this movie. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Renee.
How are you?
Doing great. How are you, man?
Man, long time no see.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, we're sort of back, and it's sort of good.
You never really left, and I don't know about how good it is. You be the judge of that, dear viewer.
Yeah, I have no idea why. Well, it doesn't matter. Let's just catch people up on what has been going on in our hiatus. When was the last time we recorded?
I'm thinking it was at least a half year ago. It's been a while. I don't know. Time moves at a very different increment here in 2020. So
I feel like it's been a year, to be honest.
Could be. We're not really
Okay, so last November, right?
Is this when you answered or when we got results?
See, I'm trying to remember, man. Like, I know we finished... I'm not even going to try to remember, and I'm too lazy to pull it up on a different device, so...
I'm not doing it on my phone. I can tell you that right now. Jeez, we've been doing this for a while, I'll tell you that. 11 months ago, my friend.
There you go. See?
Ooh.
The year.
11 months. Wow.
Okay, well, let's catch people up. Let me start from my end. So after I lost, well, it was like a roller coaster ride, right, Brian? Like, had no expectations that this script was actually going to do well at all, and it just kept going through the cuts. Quarterfinalist, semifinalist, finalist, and then loser.
And then not winner.
Top 10 loser, or 12, whatever. And that's fine. I mean, the fact that it didn't get cut immediately, I thought was a tremendous feat in and of itself. Yeah. And I don't think anyone can take that away from us.
Actually, I'm very proud of the result. And I think any of those, I'm guessing, I haven't read them, but I'm guessing anything that's in that top tier is probably producible. I'll bet you.
I have a feeling that anything is producible, though. Right?
Track.
Like, I mean, I've watched enough. Say again?
Well, you wonder how much is actually watered down. It started as a good idea, but you're right. But enough people liked it to get it that far. That wasn't.
I almost want to write a story about a screenwriter who is so desperate to get an actual credit, like a bona fide credit, that they take this thing that they've sweat and bled for and just, get it produced for like $10 or something like that, right? I guess that's too ridiculous because they could do that themselves. But basically, it's so under budgeted that it's not even a shadow of its former self, or what he had aspired for it to be. In any event, that must just be a soul-crushing and pride-swallowing moment to have to endure that.
What do you mean? For whom?
What? For this fictional writer in this story.
Oh, gotcha. I was like, thinking about us.
No, we're great.
Yeah,
we didn't sell out.
Either that, or the new movie becomes, you're writing this, or the character has created this piece, and to sell it, he basically takes a class, this crap class, that tells you here's the structure you should be using, and he makes it conform to that, so that by the time it gets produced, it's nothing like it. I mean, the characters are different. Everything's different, but he got the sale.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other way you could go, or it's this very real indie flick, and then they turn it into an action blockbuster with like Tom Cruise or whatever, and it just has like just a nugget of something he wrote in it, but it's bastardized.
Complete opposite, it's this action flick and just becomes this talkie.
Oh yeah, that too. It could be that as well. In any event, okay. So after I lost, it was difficult to just move on to the next thing. Like, okay, well, let's do it all over again. And I know that's probably bad for someone who wants to be a Hollywood screenwriter, that you should be able to just move on from project to project, that you shouldn't really care, right? And I think if it were my job, I could get into that kind of numb mindset and just crank out ideas, right? But because it wasn't, because we're doing it for this show, and really for us, for me, right? I think I still have the luxury of being finicky, or like having to be in the mood. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think there's merit to that, but we did talk for a while after that last episode about
we talked a little. We did.
Yeah, and we had, I think there were at least 3 pretty solid ideas there. And, 2 of them were new movies and one was a revisit. And I was intrigued by all 3. So, I felt like, the maybe you were not in the mood to write it yet as a result of what happened. And there were also some life changes, so I'm sure if you would have just gone right through, gone to the next project the next day.
Oh, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, there were some significant things that were going on in my life. We'll get to that in a second, but I do want to say that one thing that I did do, because I'm stubborn, is I submitted the same screenplay again to another screenplay contest by the same company, and we're talking about Epitaph, and it placed as a finalist again. Again, Brian. So what does that say? Does that mean that my script is so good that it can place in back-to-back screenplay competitions as a finalist? Or does that mean the competition is so bad that my script will keep placing as a finalist? Or that they just don't have enough of a choice? Like, we think that the quarter finalist cut is like they're trimming it down from tens of thousands, right? When it's actually like, that's it. That's the complete amount of people that submitted. Right. And they just call it a quarter finalist cut. We don't know.
They read that one. They're like, you know what? This reminds me of that script we read last year, but this one's way better.
Yeah.
This guy's got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Come on, next stage. Bump 'em up.
So I lost again in the second time I submitted it. So here's the conclusion I came to. And assuming all of my cynicism is misplaced, and that my script really is so good that it can continually place as a finalist, what is holding it back from being chosen as the winner, as the grand prize winner? I have to assume that because it breaks the conventional wisdom of limiting the script to 90 pages, because I think we're pushing 120. I think it's been whittled down to 118. Yeah. That is scaring off potential buyers. And they'll think that, oh, well, this movie's going to be way too long, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. I mean, I think that's the case. But my second thought is that I don't know that the 90-minute rule should matter anymore, because my understanding was the 90-minute thing was for movie theaters, right? Because you wanted to get as many screenings in as possible. And now that movie theaters are quickly becoming defunct, and I would fully expect that this movie, if it were to be produced, would be streamed, would be straight to Netflix or something, then I don't think the page count should really matter. I really feel like we're moving into a new epoch of screenwriting. Screenwriting conventions, anyway. What do you think, Brian?
I agree with you. Especially with the growth of streaming, even before this nonsense of 2020, I think that was the case. So I'm not convinced, based on what little research I've done, I'm not convinced that it was a 90-page issue at all. I think that if you get them in those first few pages and they stay, they're going to stay. And if it warrants another 30 pages or 28 pages, then so be it. Because the first script that you put in or that you submit isn't probably the one's going to get shot anyway. There'll be rewrites and cuts and additions, and it's like, they just want to know if they're excited about something before they buy it. I don't really know if that makes that much of a difference, personally.
Well, I'd like to put that to the test, Brian, because we have 2 data points that say 120 pages is good enough to be a finalist, but not good enough to be a winner. I know that's kind of like it's not enough data. I get that, because we don't know what the other scripts were, what kind of quality they were. We don't know what the producers were looking for. A lot of unknowns, right? However, I'm willing to submit the script again as a 90-page version. And that is what I would like to do as the next thing for this show. Now, it's not going to be like, oh, let's do a whole year on whittling it down to 90 pages. I think I could probably chop it down in like a week. 2 weeks.
Week's fast.
Well, what is there to do? You're just chopping. And I don't care anymore. Long? Who's long? There's no long in this movie anymore. It's a sheriff versus zombies.
Set in modern day.
Yeah.
It's called epic or epoch or however you say that word.
However, whatever. It's called Meteor.
Green stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a 1 or 2 week project, bro. I think that's going to take a little longer to get it so it sings at 90 pages. I know you have thoughts already on things you want to trim out or cut, wholesale, which probably won't really harm the continuity necessarily. But I just want to make sure that whatever else we do cut, it doesn't ruin the flow and still retains the transitions. I mean, I don't know. That's a lot to cut. That's a lot.
I could get rid of Bao.
Okay.
That would chop out a lot.
Yeah.
No? You don't like that idea?
No.
Wow. That attached to him, huh?
He's like the emotional post for Long. You can't really get rid of him.
Well, it can be. Say again?
It's like saying you're going to get rid of Everett. To me, these are critical components.
I feel like if you got rid of Bao, right? What is Long's emotional motivation throughout the movie now? Racism. And that's big right now.
That's a rewrite. That's not a cut.
Well, it's, you can't just cut something and not expect a rewrite, right? That would be bad editing.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I could do that. That is an option, is all I'm saying.
I just, on the face of it, I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay.
But if you want to do someone else like in the next tier that's significant, like Everett's second, was it Tom? My memory's terrible.
Yeah, it's Tom. Tom the sheriff.
Yeah, I wouldn't object to anyone probably in second tier down. But I think
I feel like there isn't enough of Tom that would get us 30 pages removed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you'd have to rewrite Rebecca a little bit so that maybe she had a relationship with Everett. So then now, even if removing Tom resulted in 30 pages, there would be some addition to Rebecca and Everett, which would then cut into the cutting, which would then inflate again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Offset.
Yeah. Well, it's something to think about, Brian. Maybe next time we talk, it'll be, how do we approach the cutting? What can go? My initial idea was to just get rid of the train sequence, and it's just going to be kind of narrated as like the train goes over, and it's just a very quick 1 minute narration or whatever, and then it just cuts to the dramatic part where he's watching her fall. She's like trying to climb up. Josephine is trying to climb up,
Yeah.
and Everett, the Titanic scene.
I'll tell you from an executive standpoint, I can imagine that's a plus, because you just cut a huge chunk out of the budget.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
You get set pieces. You don't have this huge train. You just have like fixed sets. It's zombies.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad, because I feel like that it's a nice breakaway from the town, right? Like you're just stuck in this town, right? So like when you're able to escape to the fort visually and mentally, it's less claustrophobic. The movie suddenly feels a little bigger than this small movie that it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe instead of that, we cut even more of the fort and we play into the claustrophobic nature of Epitaph, and that's kind of closing in on you. You know what I mean? There's nowhere to go, and that becomes part of the mood that's being set there.
Yeah. I absolutely. That's a definite way to go. I'm just concerned that it's going to feel really small.
Like a play or something.
Maybe not that, but I feel like people will feel like it's too like the budget wasn't there to have another set.
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever. We have some options here.
Yeah.
All right, so that is the first thing I wanted to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about, or second idea, is that I want to revisit the very first movie I wrote, which is, I guess it would be the second movie I wrote, first feature. It's an action movie that's set in a modern day fantasy world. So think of the movie Bright on Netflix, if any of you saw it. It's similar to that, and when that movie came out, I was just like, man, someone stole my idea, right? But that's the way it is, man. It's like ideas can be had by anybody. But I'm just glad that it wasn't done as well as I think my movie would be done. On the other hand, I don't think they had the same budget I had in mind for my movie. So there we are. I can't really fault the filmmakers, right?
They spent it all on Will Smith.
Oh, okay, yeah, there's that. There is that. Joel Edgerton, I'm sure he commands a princely sum. Sure. And Noomi Rapace.
Yeah. She was blowing up a little bit then. But to be honest, I did not even see that movie.
Oh.
I actually was going to watch it, and then based on discussions we had,
yeah,
I boycotted. I was like, I'm not going to watch this.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Of course. I'm going to say for what it is, it's not bad, right? It's just not as developed as I wished it was. Like, they just expect people to accept the fantasy elements without setting it up well enough. They try to do a quick, I don't know if you want to call it an announcement, but a kind of a quick explanation of how things are the way they are, with like through graffiti, right, during the opening credits. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But a lot of the explanation of the history is told through like very forced dialogue, where like two guys are getting in an argument at the police station, and they're like, you know what happened 1,000 years ago with the Omen or whatever, right? And the other guy's like, oh, you mean when Lord Zod, like, destroyed the Mountain of Doom? Yeah, of course I remember that, bro.
Now let's go get that coffee.
Yeah, pretty much. That's not the dialogue, everybody. But you can hear that coming out, like, oh, they're explaining what happened rather than showing it. Okay. All right.
Dialogue, I would actually watch that. That sounds funny.
Dude, just watch any like primetime television show where they do like the native advertising. I love it. That's the best.
Right.
Native advertising. God, I wish I didn't know that term. Anyway, so that's another option. I was rereading it the other day, and as much as I love that script because it was the first one I wrote, and it's you know all of the experience of writing this thing and completing it, it's all there for me, right? But reading it compared to Epitaph, I'm just like, whoa, this is such trash, so much trash. Whereas Epitaph is like, it's very elegant and streamlined in the way it's written. Not so much like the story or the dialogue or whatever. I mean, that's all subjective. But I think just from a craftsmanship, Epitaph is like, it's there, right? So I'm very proud of that.
I think you would expect that in revisiting a script that's what, 10 years old?
I wrote it in 2004.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot has changed with you, so I'd imagine,
No kidding. And what's funny is that I wrote a lot of it while I was working at a call center. So like in between calls or on a call, I'm like writing dialogue or whatever, and then just like put that into the script. Boom. That's how movies should be written.
So when you read it, did it take you right back there?
To the call center? Maybe a little bit. I mean, there are parts where I can recognize like, oh, I know why he's on the phone here because I was on. No, I'm kidding. Just I recognize some parts were written while I was taking a call. Yeah, like I would purposefully draw out the call because I was like trying to get the right dialogue. Give me 1 minute, sir, while I look that up. Just lean back in my chair and write.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the second thing I'd like to do. I wouldn't mind revisiting the Karina story as well. Brian and I tried to do, or we were beginning, an offshoot podcast, audio only, where it was going to be my rom-com, rom-drom-com, in audio format, and that exercise was actually very cool because it forced me to think, well, not just without the visuals, of course, but to, you had to make up for the lack of visuals with not just sounds, but with expanded dialogue. And I liked a lot of that dialogue because I was free. I was free from the 120-page cage, Brian. I could just write and have the characters just speak, get it off their chest,
Yeah, we did quite a bit with that actually.
Yeah.
First episode, did a little dry run with it. I was pretty proud of that. I thought it turned out really nice.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so I would like to. I started to include that new dialogue into the script, and I found that I was already destroying the 120-page limit. I was like, no. So I feel like I want to go through it and like remove stuff just to accommodate the monologues and soliloquies.
So as someone who's read all of your scripts, it's interesting you say that because if you were to ask me how many pages Karina was, how many pages Epitaph was, I'd say Epitaph was about 120. I think it feels like a 2-hour movie. And Karina, I'd say, was probably like right in there at 90.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I mean, it's one of those just kind of like you fly through. So to hear you say that, my memory's no good. So to hear you say that Karina's 120 kind of surprises the heck out of me. I had no idea. And that you're, it's even blowing up more as you.
Oh,
as
yeah.
you changes. So I don't know if it's just the flow of that one. It's just feels fast. It's a rom-com. I think it's already in that genre, but it just feels like it's propelled that entire story.
You know why, Brian? I think it's because it's mostly dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, with an action movie, you have to write the action, and people are doing things. This kind of movie, it's people are just insulting each other or being clever or crying.
Right.
And then there are a couple of musical set pieces, and lyrics are fast.
That's true. Yeah. It does fast. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say 30 pages go to music, and the the fact that it's mostly dialogue. I think that makes sense. All right.
it's-
Well, so those are the three projects I have in mind. Well, I'm sorry, Brian. What'd you say?
that's what I was asking. So those are the three you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we had this other idea for a Chinese food rom-com. I actually had lunch with a friend of mine, female, for research. She's Chinese. What am I saying? I left that. That's an important part. Anyway, and yeah, I got some good ideas from her. They're all gone now because I didn't write them down. It was just like the good conversation about like ways to insert some Chinese elements into dialogue that would make sense for Chinese audiences, because I'm selling out now and I'm writing purely for a Chinese audience because that's the only place that will have an audience anymore, Brian, right? Like theaters. Am I wrong?
Still going, man.
What?
Still going. Look at like Tenet. It did well overseas.
Oh, well, there you go. See, this is what I'm getting at.
I think you're onto something, dude.
Yeah. Or, they always say you got to know the market, right? Write for the market. And the market is Chinese.
I was thinking about that idea because it still intrigues me, and I was wondering, since this is a visual medium, if we played with that idea a little bit, because I know you were talking about telling her story versus telling his story, and which one's compelling and why does one work and the other one doesn't, and you were having some problems in kind of managing, how you would put that on the page. And I thought, what might be an interesting way to go with this, even though it's a little bit on the gimmicky side, but I feel like it could be used more as a convention, would be to almost start at a period in time, a point in time, January 2020, right? Whatever it is. And you tell the first 10, 15 minutes, and it's all his story of this to a certain point.
Okay.
And we go back January 2020, and we tell her story. And you basically start telling these things kind of in sequence, to the point where they kind of are intersecting. And I don't know how this, I'm just giving you broad strokes on this.
Sure.
But you can kind of flush each one of those out, and they cross where they cross, but you stay with the character that's primary for that section each time, going into the scene and coming out of the scene. So you see the ramifications and what led up to it each time, until there's a point where they're kind of together, and you tell the end, maybe act 3 is their story together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would give, like I said, I know it's a little bit on the gimmicky side, but it could be something that you certainly couldn't do that in audio version, but you could do that in film and make it kind of interesting.
Sure.
There are things you learn each time you re-see the scenes. You get a little bit of a better understanding of, oh, that's what was really going on here. I love those types of reveals. And then you don't really have a main character. I mean, I know it's a little bit strange, but you do have two main characters that come together at the end and finish the story as the two main characters.
Yeah.
It's a
I
challenge.
I like that concept. I see that a lot in like TV shows or other movies. If you think of, I don't know if Sliding Doors had that kind of convention where. Do you know the movie Sliding Doors, Brian?
Yeah, Paltrow and
yeah. I never saw it, but I know the concept, right? And maybe I don't even know the concept because it's someone who told me the concept, where because she didn't make the train, like the sliding doors closed on her, her life goes in two different directions. So in one reality she makes it, the other reality she doesn't. So I guess it's also kind of like Run Lola Run, right? Did you see that?
see that one.
Okay, well the concept of that one is Lola, depending on the things she does, on her way to complete this goal, the outcome is a lot different.
Okay.
And it's mainly if she is behind, like the farther she is behind in her actions in the sequence of events, the outcome is bad, right?
Okay.
But if she gets ahead of it, and I think mainly has to do with like a dog that's a scary dog, like she's trying to run, like basically her boyfriend decides that he's gonna rob a bank, or rob a store. I think it's a bank. And she decides she's going to stop him. And so she goes through this sequence of events to prevent that from happening.
Okay.
And depending on what she's able to accomplish in the sequence of events, the outcome is different. And so they show you different outcomes. Like they replay the same sequence of events over and over again. And if she makes a different choice, the outcome is different. And so that's the concept of Run, Lola, Run. It's okay. I mean, it's not like the most compelling movie to watch. I'm not going to say, I want to watch that again. But concept-wise, it's interesting, right? So with all of that said, I like it when the presentation of a story is different. And it makes me have to think and engage with the movie, not just consume the movie.
Right.
I think for this Chinese idea, I don't think it's appropriate, just given that the type of character that the Chinese guy is supposed to be, right? Like he has given up on women and relationships. He's just going to do his own thing. Watching his story would not be very compelling. Like we just see him do things that are unrelated to the romance, right? To making the relationship work. Whereas she's the one who would be chasing him. You know what I mean?
Okay, but maybe his story starts in a different place. Maybe he starts in a real bad place, and maybe we see the reason that led up to how he's feeling. You know what I mean? During that time away from wanting to be with someone. Maybe we see the end of something with him. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just throwing stuff out right now.
Oh yeah, no, don't
build up and see his backstory instead of just it's already happened by the time the story begins.
Sure.
Thoughts, it's just some thoughts about something new, because I like the idea of, I know we're not going to go into any details about that movie, but I liked the idea behind it, and I felt like it could be something really interesting.
Yeah, look, I still like the idea as well. I mean, let's remove the whole international thing to it. I like the idea of a guy hiring an actress to play his girlfriend for his dying grandmother so that she can die in peace.
Yeah.
Right? And then the twist being that the grandmother always knew that she was an actress, yet saw that there was good chemistry anyway, and had hoped that they would get together in reality, right? That, just me saying that, I feel like, wow, that's a really compelling story. Now you just have to fill in the details. And me, as a kind of an overachiever, and also, because I want to say something as a writer, I'm making the guy Chinese, right? And I'm making him be very similar to me, as a guy who is like transcended relationships and is like, I can just be alone now because that's what makes me happiest. Yeah.
I think that's what would make it compelling.
Well, maybe to some people. I think commercially, if we're talking about, what would be compelling to a producer, it would be the first thing without all of the, inflammatory stuff. Why's it got to be Chinese?
No,
Why's it got to be MGTOW?
Why I got to sell it, twice as much, to the entire Chinese market? No, they didn't say. Why can't we have two Chinese people?
There you go. Exactly. Because Chinese people like white people, Brian.
Yeah.
Come on. What?
White people like Chinese people.
No, maybe. Maybe. Anyway, so the other thing I wanted to talk... Well, I'm sorry, Brian. Do you have anything else you wanted to add about what we've talked about so far?
No. Other than there was another movie that
A superhero movie? Yeah. I love that idea as well. It's just like, yeah, I could write that.
You look really excited about it.
It's one of those movies that I've played in my head over and over again, and it's like watching a movie you legitimately like, right? But watching it for 1,000th time in 1,000 days.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Maybe there's just too much saturation right now in that area.
Too.
Maybe it's, a 10 years from now project that would be fun and interesting, and you'd probably bring a slightly different angle to it anyway.
Yeah.
So back burner.
For now.
There's some interesting ideas in that one, though.
Say again.
There's some interesting ideas in that idea as well, though.
The superhero one? Like what?
I'm not going to say anything about the movie. No one knows anything.
We talked about it. Didn't we talk about it in one of our episodes?
No. Did we talk about it on?
Pretty sure we did. And I'm too lazy to go back in time and watch videos.
Your viewer, go rewatch our entire catalog and let us know.
Exactly.
About it next time.
All right. Well, here's what I wanted to get off my chest.
Yeah.
So, in the 11-month hiatus, started a new job, and I started the new job at the height. Well, maybe not the height. It's hard to even know what the height of COVID is, but at the let's say at the onset of COVID, and we're all locked down and all of that, and so I haven't even like met my coworkers in real life. But it was a crazy transition time, and so I started this new job, and it is very demanding. I don't want to complain because I'm grateful to have a job, right? However, I woke up the other day. Well, let me just say that I work so much that I go to sleep right after finishing work. And then I wake up and the first thing I do is work. And then maybe I'll like brush my teeth or something, right? Don't get me wrong. I don't like show up to freaking video calls looking horrible. I look like this. I just came off work, to be honest. In any event, I was thinking the other day, I was in the shower, just questioning my life choices like I normally do. Looking forward to dying alone, unknown, unloved, unremembered. And I remember I had this thought. I think it was on a weekend because I also work weekends. I sat down in front of my computer, this computer, and I remember just feeling this sense of clarity, like the fog had just been lifted from my brain, and I was solving problems for work, right? I was like, this is great. My instrument was just clean. You know what I mean? And I started thinking, it's a shame, and once again, to take nothing away from my job, I'm once again very grateful to have a job, but I was just thinking, it's a shame that this clarity is being used on my job rather than my creative pursuits. Say again?
Wasted on your job.
Well, I don't want to say wasted. I mean, it's just, I don't know how else to say it. But not that way. I know it's not that way. Wasted?
My feeling.
Well, you're not me, Brian. Anyway, and I'm feeling that, instead of giving my best to my creative pursuits, I'm giving it my worst, meaning I do it when I'm like tired at the end of the day and I've got other things on my mind, and it's like, oh, I'm just going to force myself to write and be creative. This will turn out good, right? No. I mean, it might turn out good, but how much better could it be if my mind was solely focused on it? I know you can't be solely focused on anything, but if I could devote the best of me to the things that really inspire me. I mean, I could. Who knows where I'd be in life if I did that, right? Homeless,
broke.
Yeah.
Happy and broke, and you'd have a full library of work.
Yeah. Just be some homeless guy throwing scripts at people as they're driving by.
This is really good.
Yeah. Why does he smell so much? So, sidebar, Brian, 30-second story. You all missed this. There was a guy, this was during my Hollywood entertainment days, there was a guy who would just kind of roam Hollywood Boulevard, or maybe it was Sunset. In any event, he would drive around in this beat-up old car, and I think it was like, I had a bunch of like papers plastered to it that was advertising him, and he would just give people DVDs of his work, like homemade DVDs. And the DVD case was like bulging with not just the DVDs, but with like papers and stuff for you to read about him. And I just thought, man, how pathetic is this, right? And then I started, now that I'm 20 plus years removed from that, well, I know I'm exaggerating, but whatever. I feel like that's my future. I'm just going to be this crazy guy driving up and down Sunset, chucking thumb drives at people or whatever it's going to be at that time.
Maybe that's what actually happened. Maybe that was you. You're in your own time loop.
I turn into a white guy who's tall? Well, this doesn't end up so bad for me after all.
Wow.
Anyway, that wasn't a very good story. I don't know what I was talking about. Oh, yeah. Where would I be, Brian, if I devoted the best of me? I don't know. But I think I'm willing to find out.
Well, I'm here for the challenge, and I love the idea of doing something, anything that teases that creative juice out of you. I think it's good, and I've always said I think it's a waste when you're not writing. So, but I also know that starting a new job, especially the type that you did, it's actually a huge challenge too. So
Gigolo, everybody, gigolo. That's what I do now.
I'm good at it now too. You see, just took a few months.
But the hours, bro, the hours.
Yeah. It's like when a guy gets a new girlfriend, they're going to go off the grid for half a year or so, and until they come back and life normalizes a little bit, and they realize, hey, wait a second, I kind of miss doing this other stuff too. I figured you'd come back eventually and say, I think it's time to write. Right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man. It's like I'm not
A terrible girlfriend, but a girlfriend.
Well, no, it's the second part is the thing that I'm challenging here, which is I don't know that I'm necessarily excited to write a new script right now.
When you say new, are you being purposeful? Or are you saying, you're excited to do some rewriting of existing?
No, anything to even like do this, right? Like I feel like it's like you should work out, but looking forward to working out is not like at the beginning. It's like that's the last thing I quote unquote want to do, right? Or dieting. That's the last thing you want to do. Okay. I think the only thing that's like drawing me to this idea is an end result. So like a better body, not the writing thing. I'm just talking about the other examples. Like looking good or being strong, right? There's an end result that you can see through the forest, through the maze, right? But you don't want to go through the forest. You want to go through the maze.
Well, that's not good, dude, because this whole show is about the process.
Well, I think it's important to say this, though, because I think a lot of writers, this is something that a lot of writers face, a lot of creatives face, right? Like they don't, no one likes, well, I'm exaggerating here, but I think a lot of writers don't actually like to write. I can't remember who said this quote, but they like having written, if that makes sense.
Okay. I guess, but like going to the gym, you don't go to the gym for 6 months and all of a sudden see, a result. You see results along the way and you get even more excited about it. So I think that maybe that was an apt metaphor, but, and I think that, the working out gets easier as you get the routine going, you start to see some cool things coming out of it. So, and same with the diet, so yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it's still work. It's still a form of work to get there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess, on my end, since I wasn't doing the writing and just doing the editing, I enjoyed that, that process and the work that it was entailed and, engaging and trying to give you whatever input and insights I could. I enjoy that, maybe because you're doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah, of course. That's exactly it, Brian.
So this works out for me.
Oh, let's edit this movie.
Let's rewrite this movie.
All right. Well, look, that's just my mindset. That's not going to. That's not to say that we're not going to go forward. Do I have all of my negatives correct here? That we're not going to. Yeah, that's correct. So we are going to move forward, is what I'm getting at, even though I don't want to.
Positive-ish.
Yeah. Even though I don't want to, we're going to do it.
Great.
Just because, mainly out of curiosity at this point. Let's say we do the 90-page rewrite of Epitaph, right?
Okay.
I just want to see if that's the thing. If it's 90 pages and I win.
But what if it's 90 pages, it gets polished, things get even better, and you win because of that? Then it was because of the 90 pages.
Well, yeah, of course. It's the 90 pages. You're telling me it's not polished already, Brian?
It's only got 90 pages. That's our winner right there.
Yeah. There's going to be, Casablanca, the equivalent of Casablanca, 91 pages, and it's going to be mine, 90 pages. But he's missing a word. He left off a word so he could hit 90 pages. Doesn't matter. It's 90 pages. We'll write that word later.
To answer your question, yeah, I know. I think it flows very well now, and I think it's it doesn't feel like it's too much. So I'm curious what a 90-page version of this actually looks like.
It'll be fine.
I don't think anything meaty. That it's like you're about ready. You were talking to me about losing Bao. To me, that's a mistake.
You only say that because Bao is there.
No, I say that because of the relationship with Long that he has.
If it's racism,
3 people that I wouldn't remove. 2 people that are your main characters and Bao. Anyone else you want to play with, I'd be like, yeah, let's consider anyone else.
Yeah, look, all I'm saying is that I could get rid of Bao and I can see where 30 pages go away. Is all I'm getting at. Everyone else, it's going to be get rid of Maggie, her kids got to go, right? Ray's got to go.
Love that, by the way.
You'd be okay if Ray was gone?
No, I'm saying the kids, because people hate working with kids.
You hate working with kids?
Like producers and stuff and directors, because they're a pain in the ass and there's all these restrictions. So you can do it without kids. I'm sure it'd be more sellable.
Well, that's why the kids die, Brian.
Be page 1.
I just read a movie called Blowing Up Kids.
You got a whole schoolroom.
That's what I'm saying. Have you heard of this movie called Rubber? I tell you about Rubber? We're just talking about movies that get made, right? And we just question, why? Who greenlit this, right? And it's an absurd movie. It's about a rubber tire that essentially comes to life.
I heard about this.
Yeah, I reviewed it. I think I told you about it back in the day. And it has mental powers to blow up your head, to explode your head. Yeah, you should find some clips on YouTube. Rubber.
I seem to remember seeing just a tire bouncing through a scene.
Yeah. Yeah, but it will stop. It'll just roll places and it will stop and it'll come across a human being and they'll what's this? What's going on? And then it will vibrate and then the person's head will explode. And it's a serial killer rubber tire.
That had to be so much fun to shoot, though.
Oh, dude. It's the same guy. He did another movie called Wrong.
Okay.
And it's just another absurd movie where just random things happen. I'm sure it may be, in the kind of a postmodern explanation of it, it could have some kind of it could make sense, right? But different things are happening where this guy will go to work and the sprinklers, the fire sprinklers are running in the office and everyone is working and behaving as if they're not on. So, some guy's like trying to write on a piece of paper that's like sopping wet. You know, you know what I mean? Like people are working on a computer that's like short circuited. I don't even remember if that's in it, but all I'm saying is that people are behaving normally in this absurd situation.
Mm.
It's just a lot of stuff like that.
Is this a recommendation or no?
It's a recommendation if you feel like, you want to satisfy some curiosity.
Mhm.
But beyond that, it's like going to the freak show at a circus.
Okay.
It's interesting for that moment, and then that's it. Yeah.
And you want to forget it?
No, you don't necessarily want to forget it. I mean, it's enough for me to tell you about it and say, yeah, can you believe it?
Yeah.
I've got something to say.
Well, I do need to do a little bit of a recap on 2020 for a second.
Do it, Brian.
I would say this is based on our conversation last week, whenever we spoke. I understand that the theaters are closed and a lot of the movies have moved to streaming, but not a lot of them have moved from that were going to be released in the theaters to streaming. So I'm still going to look at the crop of films that came out in 2020 so far, and I just got to say that there's a lot of disappointment this year. Like not a lot of just good movies, a lot of terrible, terrible movies.
Okay. So,
We in my house we've started several movies, watching several movies, and 10, 15 minutes in just turn them off. Like this is dreck. It's terrible.
give me an example.
So the other day we tried both Time Loop, because I like time travel type
The hell
movies.
is Time Loop?
It's a low budget one. Time Loop, and it's set like in Italy,
And this is a 2020 movie. Okay.
and like it's on Netflix or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And the something I don't know where to place the blame, but the something was really, really bad. I have a feeling it had to do with the actor choices that they.
Oh, wait, you said it's set in Italy? It has really bad sound, right?
I don't know. It was
There's like an Italian woman. They're building this time machine. No?
Guy.
Oh, well, I know there's a dude. He's like an older dude.
Yeah,
And then
the
there's a younger dude. Right? Am I right?
father and son.
I think that's right. But isn't there also a woman in there, like a prominent female character?
didn't get that far.
Oh, okay, that's why. You only saw 15 minutes. Okay, so I think I saw the trailer for this, and I'm just thinking, like, my God, the sound is so bad. Like, there's no ADR at all. Like, they didn't go into the studio afterwards and re-record anything. It's just all echoey, and like their time machine thing looks horrible. Yeah, okay. Time loop.
There are things like that, and then there are bigger budgeted ones that came out that are fine. Absolutely nothing to remember, like the what's the Charlize Theron one that came out earlier in the year, The Old Guard.
Yeah, Old Guard.
It was fine, fun for the it was a completely disposable movie.
Yeah.
Popcornish. That was good enough.
Hey, what about Six Underground, Brian? Did you watch Six Underground?
Did not.
After we reviewed it, or the trailer? After we reviewed the trailer?
You know what? Now that I think about it, I did see that.
There you go.
I did watch it.
See?
Yeah, that's how memorable it was.
The biggest magnet in the world, Brian.
Watch that now that I think about it. If you watch that trailer like 20, 30 times, you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
In its entirety.
Of course.
Yeah, no surprises there. I've seen some good ones. The Charlie Kaufman, is his name?
Okay.
The director. He came out with a fun movie. Super challenging, but interesting at least. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my. Yeah, but it's very it's very esoteric.
Well, it sounds like that one was a good one then.
Yeah, yeah.
See? 2020 isn't bad.
Great movies. I'm like reaching for these things,
Yeah.
Granted, there was, Bill and Ted, which was fantastic.
Really?
It was miserable. Like not even entertaining.
Oh, okay. So you're being sarcastic. Yeah.
Ter-
Okay.
it was terrible, man.
What are you gonna
So
do, bro?
I enjoyed the Borat movie. That was at least I laughed at that one.
Yeah.
But it's not the one you're gonna ever go back and rewatch.
Yeah. I don't think they make movies like that anymore, Brian. Or maybe it's us as a society that there's so many avenues for entertainment. There's no reason to revisit anything.
Maybe. I just don't think anything was of that caliber.
Oh,
In fact, I was willing to watch because I watched the Charlie Kaufman movie alone. I told Arena that I'll watch it again with her. I don't think she'll like it, but I'd watch it again.
yeah.
I enjoyed it that much. So there's something there.
All right.
Not a lot to be thankful for in 2020. We need some cooler movies out there, man. Renee.
I don't know, bro. They're releasing a movie called Mr. Dundee, I think. I think it's called Mr. Dundee or Mr. Hogan or something like that, right? And it's basically Paul Hogan as himself, and I guess he's playing the washed up actor or whatever, and his agent is trying to revive his career or something.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's one of those. It's one of those like Jean-Claude Van Damme things. Like he had a thing on Amazon. I can't remember what it was called. Do you remember that? He had a series.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Okay. Well, anyway, the point I'm making is that it's one of those movies or concepts where it's like, oh, it's an actor that's past their prime, but he has a lot of nostalgia, cachet, right? So, oh, he's a meme. Therefore, we can make him into a movie IP again.
Full feature meme.
That's what I mean. This whole, like you do the whole. Everyone knows the what is that? That's not a knife. That's a knife, right? So that is referenced in this in the trailer for this movie anyway. So
yeah.
The point I'm making though, Brian. Say again.
I'm already going to pass on that one.
I think you should watch the trailer at least, just so you can see what I'm talking about. The point I'm making is that this is what Hollywood wants now. Like, I can't roll into a studio or an agency and say, "Hey, rep me. I've got this awesome new IP," and they're going to be like, "Is it based on an existing IP?" No. Then is there an inbuilt audience? No. Okay. Well, then get out of here.
That's a good point. That's what we should do. We should start building the foundation for Epitaph, the Western Zombie blog that we start, and then we have our own IP. Is there a movie about this? I heard something rumored about that.
Yeah. I thought about that for my my action fantasy movie I told you about that we were discussing earlier. I wanted to write a book on it and say, hey, it's based on a book. Self-published. Unpublished. My mom read it.
After the movie.
Yeah. Based on the movie. That's awesome. And then the movie would be based on the book, based on the movie. Right. Basedception.
So a couple more things. One thing I always used to look forward to back when he was alive was the Roger Ebert. What do you call them? The overlooked movies. He'd always publish that, and actually, I think he had like a cruise every year, the overlooked movies of whatever the year was. And I used to go back to those and revisit, and he and I had pretty similar tastes in things we liked. So I'd say about 75% of the time, I enjoyed stuff that he would recommend. And now that doesn't exist anymore. So when I go back when I go look for overlooked movies of 2019 or 20 to see if there's anything important I missed, there's stuff I just don't like, or I've tried that. Some of these are the ones I've tried looking at, and they're just not good.
Yeah.
They're not fun. And then there are movies like, the other one was the Adam Sandler movie, Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about that. This is Oscar worthy, and you got to watch this. And man, I'll tell you, it was. I couldn't even make it through 20 minutes of it.
Wow.
Couldn't even do it.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was intentional. I mean, it was a style that was supposed to be grating to look at, grating to listen to. I'm like, what am I getting out of this except for more and more annoyed with every scene? Like, this is not something I want to spend any time with.
Wow. Okay.
Couldn't do it. Maybe it's me, but I want a film that's going to make me feel something interesting, not just annoyed at looking at the screen.
Wow. All right.
My review. Everyone, I'm definitely in the minority here, but I thought it was terrible what I saw.
Yeah.
And indulgent too. I didn't care for it at all. So go watch Uncut Gems, people. Big thumbs up.
Yeah. On Netflix.
You know what I'm gonna do?
Tell me.
Click that movie. Oh wait a second. Sorry.
All right. Well, I don't have anything much more to say.
Well,
Brian, I think
based on what you said, that your idea now is you're going to take 1 to 2 weeks off of work and you're going to work strictly on the 90-page rewrite.
yes, I'm communicating effectively. Apparently.
All right. So is that the project we want to start with?
Well, I think it's going to be the easiest of everything we talked about, because it's just editing, right, Brian? It's just editing, so it will be easy.
That's what I do.
Exactly. You'll be editing my editing. How much easier can it get?
I'm saying. So do you want to come to the next episode with ideas about what to cut?
Yeah, I think it's going to be less script presentation and more, if it's like cutting a cancer out, right? Like, what organs is that cancer touching?
Right.
And can we lose a gallbladder or whatever, right? As I cut out Bao.
I think you should rewrite the movie and just call it Bao and make it only about Bao. Everything
Silent picture.
Yeah. Pay the actors by the word, you're done.
Yeah, exactly. He's not even an epitaph. He's just like riding by and just sees a meteor fly by, shrugs, just, goes about, his adventures.
Right.
Yeah, so look, whatever it is, we'll be back next week and we'll have something to talk about.
Cool. Well, I'm sure we will talk in between, but I guess until that time, we will hold the audience in suspense.
Did we have a catchphrase when we exited?
I don't know, Renee, but maybe you should go and write that movie.
Yeah, I will. Let's edit that movie.
Okay.
All right. See you next time, everybody.
Peace.
Oh, that's right. Mr. Peace over here.
Peace.
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 War.